Hello, everybody, and good morning. Thank you for joining me. My name is Michael. We are continuing in the Word of God with the book of Deuteronomy. We left off on chapter 15 on Friday. I apologize about not getting here yesterday morning. Just hectic morning as usual, which usually keeps me from making these videos every morning before work. But, we're here today. Got the little one. Decided to wake up nice and early. So she's chilling. We'll see how the reading goes, or how much attention she's gonna want. But she's funny. She's hilarious. But yeah, we're on chapter 16. Looks like we'll be doing chapter 16, 17, and maybe 18 this morning. I only got like 15 minutes of data on my phone, so we'll see where we're at the end of chapter 17. I did get another new Ryrie study Bible that we also have out here with me, the rest of my tabs, but it's cool because I got a tab up here, and then I got blank tabs at the very end. Like the tab in the middle here, that tab that you see, that's where the Old Testament ends and the New Testament begins. And this book actually gives you the history of about 400 years that happened between the last book that was written in the Old Testament and when Matthew writes his gospel, or basically like when Christ came. All of the history and everything that happened to Israel during those 400 years are included inside between this. And like in the back pages, some of the blank tabs that I have, it goes back and has like an appendix for everything, maps for numerous amount of things, an area where there's a vast amount of situational things such as anger or anxiety or resentment or anger or just a numerous amount of different circumstances that you find yourself in life, and where you can reference to get strength from the Lord, from His Word in those circumstances. There's just so much information that's inside this Bible. It's great. And at the beginning of each chapter, something that I want to start doing, it gives like a couple pages that breaks down the timeline, shows the timeline of when everything was, summaries of the book itself that you're about to read, just some more information than my devotional typically has. But it's an amazing study Bible. I recommend that you get one. It's great. But we'll go ahead and start off. Don't want to waste too much time here. With chapter 16, again in the book of Deuteronomy. So chapter 16. Observe the month of Abib, and keep the Passover to the Lord your God. For in the month of Abib the Lord your God brought you out of Egypt by night. And you shall offer the Passover sacrifice to the Lord your God from the flock or the herd, or at the place that the Lord will choose, to make His name dwell there. You shall eat no leavened bread with it. 7 days you shall eat it with unleavened bread, the bread of affliction. But you came out of the land of Egypt in haste, that all the days of your life you remember the day when you came out of the land of Egypt. No leaven shall be seen with you in all your territory for 7 days, nor shall any of the flesh that you sacrifice on the evening of the first day remain all night until morning. You may not offer the Passover sacrifice within any of your towns that the Lord your God is giving you, but at the place that the Lord your God will choose, to make His name dwell in it. There you shall offer the Passover sacrifice, in the evening at sunset, at the time you came out of Egypt. And you shall cook it and eat it at the place that the Lord your God will choose. What, baby? Christmas song. Okay. 1 second. Okay, Christmas song. Pardon me 1 second. Ugh, pardon me. Apologize. Let's see here. I believe we're around verse 7 of chapter 16. See, like I said, we'll see how it goes. And you shall cook it and eat it at the place that the Lord your God will choose. And in the morning you shall turn and go to your tents. For 6 days you shall eat unleavened bread, and on the 7th day there shall be a solemn assembly to the Lord your God. You shall do no work on it. You shall count 7 weeks. Begin to count the 7 weeks from the time the sickle is first put to the standing grain. Then you shall keep the feast of weeks to the Lord your God with the tribute of a freewill offering from your hand, which you shall give as the Lord your God blesses you. And you shall rejoice before the Lord your God, you and your son and your daughter, your male servant, your female servant, the Levite who is within your towns, the sojourner, the fatherless, and the widow who are among you, at the place that the Lord your God will choose to make his name dwell there. You shall remember that you were a slave in Egypt, and that you shall be careful to observe these statutes. Verse 13, the Feast of Booths. You shall keep the Feast of Booths 7 days. When you have gathered in the produce from your threshing floor and your winepress, you shall rejoice in your feast, in your son and your daughter, your male servant and your female servant, the Levite, the sojourner, the fatherless, and the widow who are within your towns. For 7 days you shall keep the feast to the Lord your God at the place that the Lord will choose, because of the Lord your God will bless you in all your produce and all your work of your hands, so that you will be altogether joyful. 3 times a year all your males shall appear before the Lord your God at the place that he will choose, at the feast of unleavened bread, at the feast of weeks, and at the feast of booths. They shall not appear before the Lord empty-handed. Every man shall give as he is able, according to the blessing of the Lord your God that he has given you. You shall appoint judges and officers in all your towns that the Lord your God is giving you, according to your tribes, that they shall judge the people with righteous judgment. You shall not pervert justice. You shall not show partiality, and you shall not accept a bribe, for a bribe blinds the eye of the wise, and subverts the cause of the righteous. Justice and only justice you shall follow, that you may live and inherit the land that the Lord your God is giving you. Let's see, what are we at? 8 minutes? Yeah, we can get done with chapter 17. And so, chapter 17, there's verse 21 and 22 of verse 16 that blends in with chapter 17. In case your Bible doesn't separate it that way, it'll come in order, but yeah, that just probably is the same, I would assume. Forbidden forms of worship. You shall not plant any tree as an Asherah beside the altar of the Lord your God that you shall make, and you shall not set up a pillar which the Lord your God hates. You shall not sacrifice to the Lord your God an ox or a sheep in which is a blemish, any defect whatever, for what is an abomination to the Lord your God? For that is an abomination to the Lord your God. If there is found among you within any of your towns that the Lord your God has given you, a man or a woman who does what is evil in the sight of the Lord your God, in transgressing his covenant, and has gone and served other gods and worshipped them, or the sun, or the moon, or any of the host of heaven, which I have forbidden, and it is told you, and you hear of it, that you shall inquire diligently, and if it is true and certain that such an abomination has been done in Israel, then you shall bring out to your gates that man or woman who has done this evil thing, and you shall stone that man or woman to death with stones. On the evidence of 2 witnesses, or of 3 witnesses, the one who is to die shall be put to death. A person shall not be put to death on the evidence of 1 witness. The hand of the witnesses shall be first against him to put him to death, and afterward the hand of all the people, so you shall purge the evil from your midst. Verse 8, legal decision by priests and judges. If any case arises regarding decision between one kind of homicide and another, one kind of legal right and another, or one kind of assault or another, any case within your towns that is too difficult for you, then you shall arise and go to the place that the Lord your God will choose. And you shall come to the Levitical priests and to the judge who is in the office in those days. and you shall consult them, and shall declare to you the decision. They shall declare to you the decision. Then you shall do according to what they declare to you from that place that the Lord will choose. And you shall be careful to do according to all that they direct you, according to the instructions that they give you, and according to the decision which they pronounce to you. You shall do. You shall not turn aside from the verdict that they declare to you, either to the right hand or to the left. The man who acts presumptuously by not obeying the priest who stands to minister there but before the Lord your God, or the judge, that man shall die. So you shall purge the evil from Israel, and all the people shall hear and fear, and not act presumptuously again. Verse 14, Law concerning Israel's kings. When you come to the land that the Lord your God is giving you, and you possess it and dwell in it, and then say, I will set a king over me, like all the nations that are around me, you may indeed set a king over you, whom the Lord your God will choose. One from among your brothers you shall set as king over you. You may not put a foreigner over you, who is not your brother. Only he must not acquire many horses for himself, or cause the people to return to Egypt in order to acquire many horses, since the Lord has said to you, you shall never return that way again. And he shall not acquire many wives for himself, lest his heart turn away, nor shall he acquire for himself excessive silver and gold. And when he sits on the throne of his kingdom, he shall write for himself in a book a copy of this law, approved by the Levitical priests. And it shall be with him, and he shall read it in all the days of his life, that he may learn to fear the Lord his God, by keeping all the words of this law and these statutes and doing them, that his heart may not be lifted up above his brothers, and that he may not turn aside from the commandment, either to the right or to the left, so that he may continue long in his kingdom, he and his children in Israel. All right, so we're going to go ahead and end there, since I only got like 3.5 minutes, and I'm not going to be able to finish chapter 18 in time before the video automatically stops. So do want to thank you for joining me. Wonderful reading, a lot of exactly what we would expect at this portion of it. Hearing a lot in reflection of what Jesus taught, as we all know that he did speak a lot from Deuteronomy. But God holds us to a point where he expects, he's jealous in a jealous way that we don't comprehend, I think, in tactfully. When we think of jealousy, we think of our human jealousy, and it's an entirely different kind of jealousy. He made us. He's our creator. I mean, he's our Father in heaven. If you just put this as an instance, if you're a parent, and you have your child, and there's another adult that your child seems to enjoy being taught from more so than yourself. They enjoy spending time more with them than yourself. It's in a very small way like that, in such a more grander scale, but I think that's the kind of jealousy, because I feel like you would be jealous, like that's yours. You love it so much, like why would it want to depart from you? But we do that all the time. And so there's a lot of information here, and a lot of knowledge, a lot of wisdom, and a lot of advice that God's speaking to every single one of us about what he wants, what he expects of us, which in the grand scheme of things, with his help, if we can overcome the flesh, it's not that difficult. But overcoming the flesh, that battle with the flesh, is so very hard. But with his strength, through him, we were able to overcome it. So I do thank you again very much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the video. We will continue on with chapter 18 tomorrow morning. I hope you have a blessed day. I love you all, and I will see you next time.